Today's Coach on the Couch is sponsored by Fleet Farm. Get the lowest Black Friday pricing at Fleet Farm. Find deals on fleetfarm.com starting at 8 p.m. on Wednesday. Welcome to Coach on the Couch. I'm your host, Jason Zaleski, visiting today with Stratford boys basketball coach Curt Schmidt. Coach, before we begin, just remind the audience how many years you've been coaching basketball at Stratford and what in the world keeps you coming back every year?
I believe this is my 25th year of coaching total girls and boys basketball at Stratford. And what keeps me coming back, it's the kids. I keep having good kids, good parents every year overall. And you know, you're not always the most talented always, but they want to get better. They play hard. And as long as they play hard and want to get better and want to be coachable, I'll keep coming back.
Yeah, your team last year seemed like it was coachable. I could see that they got better each week. You ended the season in a sectional semifinal. For most teams, that's a really successful season. What you're a teacher. What kind of grade would you put on last year's basketball team?
Well, I think preseason yearbook we were fourth, I think, picked, right? And then to be first place till the very last game of the regular season, this group really exceeded my expectations. Now, I don't say that, every coach wants to say that possibly because it makes them look better. That's really not true. That's not how I feel. I had kids that, I had a decent number that weren't scorers, but the ones I had, they just did a great job. And then the other kids just did a really good job. They did their roles so well. They all accepted the role. It was like a symphony orchestra where you had the tuba player, the drummer, and everything just worked together well. You had your scorers that were able, you had a really good player come off the bench. Braden Schuler could have started all year. He gave up, he sacrificed what could have been a starter, just for the betterment of the team, stuff like that. So he was our third leading scorer and he came off the bench. And part of that is, you start really good defensive players. You might start a really good rebounder, a good ball handler. So everybody has a role. This team just did an outstanding job. If you were to tell me we're going to be 22-5 to finish the year, and then we competed really hard with Iola till the very end of that game, and they were undefeated. It was a fun group to coach.
I'll give you one last chance to say thanks to the seniors from last year's team. No matter what, every year the seniors that graduate or that leave your program, they leave such a mark on the program overall. So tell us about last year's group of seniors.
Well, they, and there was, I think we had 8 of them, so I won't mention them by name, but because I don't want to forget one. But as a whole, they just did. And you got to remember too, we were first in the state academically with this group. We ended up being WBCA first for the highest GPA. That says a lot, but they played hard, worked hard, and they were very, very unselfish. So they're definitely one of the highs that I've had for all the years that I've coached. And I've had a lot of them, but they were up there as a very, very high achieving, great group, low drama, work hard type group.
You mentioned last year the 22-5 mark, the playoff run. Before we talk about this year's season, which is what we're really here to do, let's talk about computerized seating. I just have one question for you, just your overall take on it, because when a lot of people looked at last year's result, you were the 2 seed. Marathon was the 3, even though in a singular way, Marathon swept you on the season and you had happened to lose to Colby late in the year. But a computerized program like that takes into account your entire season, not just one game. Your thoughts on computerized seating?
Well, I liked it. If I was Marathon, I wouldn't have appreciated it at the time because they're a very, very good program. They legitimately beat us twice. Now, obviously, they were tight games, but computer doesn't really, I don't think it really considers all that. It was odd to me because when you called me, I was at practice And I was shocked. I didn't watch because we had practice, so I wasn't watching like a watch, which I apologize for that. But and Adam does a really good job, and I could see that would have been disappointing if I would have been on his end too. But at the same time, we do have a very difficult non-conference schedule, just like we do this year. We played Bangor last year, state runner-ups, I think, Division 5, I think. Mosinee was a really good team last year. We beat them at our place. We beat Wausau East, big school. So we had a tough schedule, and I think it does. And we have one this year. We actually added Medford to our schedule. Medford is very, very good program, very difficult to beat. So we have Mosinee again. We have Neillsville. Neillsville does a good job. So we have a good conference schedule, and part of that is we might take some off the chin, but I think it helps the computer seeding is having a difficult schedule. I think if you win all your games and the opponents aren't the best, I think that almost might hurt you a little bit. I'm not an expert with it, but it just kind of seems like it looks into that a little bit.
We on this side are close to being experts on it. Yeah, you're exactly right. Strength of schedule is the number one factor. The computer doesn't take into account single game performances or margin of victory or anything like that. And that's a lot for people to have gotten used to, and most still haven't gotten used to how this new and now no longer new, but how the process works. All right, let's preview this year's team. You've been with the guys at practice now for a while. What's maybe
I
one?
have? Are you sure I have?
I hope so.
We haven't started yet. Remember, football just finished yesterday. We start practice this Monday, but I know them well enough, so I'm just splitting hairs with you.
Tell us about your thoughts, your impressions coming into this now new group of Stratford Tigers boys basketball players.
I'm excited because once again, I feel like I'm blessed with good kids that want to be here. I can't even imagine, going and playing with all the pressure of a football state playoffs and then winning it all, and you're banged up a little bit, and then the thought of starting a very kind of physically difficult season for the next 4 months, I can't even imagine kind of what that does mentally. So they're going to have some time off too. So, and I told them when you come back, just be ready to come back. If you need an extra day or two or whatever to heal, and even mentally just kind of get recharged. I'm looking at the long ball of the season. I'm not looking for the short game. I'm not looking to, let's rush you in here, and then there's a little resentment and you're burned out a little bit. So, but at the same time, the show goes on too. The longer you take your time getting back, the harder it is to compete. We decided to keep our first game against Greenwood. We lost our scrimmage obviously, but being a non-conference game, that's kind of why last year we moved the Assumption game so we could put a non-conference game, because now we'll treat it like a scrimmage. So we're going to keep that. We'll have enough program practices then by starting Monday, and not everybody will be in Monday, but eventually when everybody comes in, it'll be exciting to do. And I appreciate your kind words of seeing our guys improve, because you follow a lot of sports, you're very observant, and you are absolutely right. They improved constantly, and I hope the same now with this group once we get everybody together.
Let's talk about your conference a little bit. Year in and year out, always what I think is the toughest Division 4, Division 3 to 5 type of conference in the state from top to bottom. It is tough. You got Edgar a couple of years ago at a state championship game. Marathon. In sectionals. Auburndale always excites the crowd with a big postseason run. Assumption is on the up with a new coach. I mean, how in the world do teams even? How do you get out of this without limping into the playoffs?
But you're right. I mean, it's a very, very tough conference and well coached. I mean, you have to bring your game, your A game, I should say, every night. That's why last year, we picked 4th, but there was, small margin of error. I mean, it could have all been flipped around and moved around. I think I think we're picked 4th again to to end. And you know, Edgar, I think, is fifth in Assumption. And I'm like, okay, well, those are pretty good pick 5, pick 6, pick 4 teams. You know what I mean? You know, obviously they're projections. So, you know, to be honest with you, it's a dogfight every night. The other coaches do a really good job, and the players play hard, and it's good basketball. It really is. And that's the other thing that's fun to coach is, you know, overall we've had very little turnover in the conference, you know, very little turnover. So you're going against the same head coaches and their staffs. Year in and year out, you develop relationships with them, and there's a respect factor that we all have, and we learn from each other. And you know, it's really a great conference to coach. And it's difficult, but if it was hard, it wouldn't be any fun. If it wasn't hard, it wouldn't be any fun.
And my apologies to the Cardinals too. Newman, a sectional final team from last year, and a lot of high hopes over in Wausau for the Cardinals this year too. Okay, lastly, Coach, back to the seniors. You know, a lot of coaches kind of expect those seniors on the floor to be coaches on the floor, to extend your what you do from the sideline or in practice. Coaches expect those seniors to relay that to the team on the floor in the middle of gameplay. What kind of expectations do you put on your senior class this year?
Well, I put a lot of expectations on them. You know, I'm very big on giving the benefit of the doubt to seniors. You know, like obviously last year, Braden Schuler could have started at any game at any time, and you know, we started a senior over him, and I felt I had 6 starters. That's an example of when you empower seniors. It's, you know, you get, it's their team. They kind of keep things in line. They've earned it. It's their last ride. So there's a little bit more, not I want to call it desperation, but there's just a little bit more to it because they know they're at the end. Whereas sometimes underclassmen take for granted, oh, I got another year. So, you know, like a Braden, I expect those seniors, Braden Schuler, and you know, we got a newcomer with Ben Zilke, who's 6'7", but an Ashton Wrench and an Isaiah Hadlock and a Johnny Seitz. And I think I mentioned all 5, but I'm expecting them to take ownership over the team, you know, because I have 5 seniors: Isaiah, Johnny, Ashton, Braden, and then Ben Zilke. So I expect all of them to take charge in a positive way on and off the court, and be great leaders. They showed me a lot of that, even watching them at the end of the football season. You know, I thought they just did a great job of just taking ownership, being all in, giving it all they had. I saw them play super hard, and I expect that in basketball.
Very last thing, Coach, I want you to remind people to come and cheer on your guys in person. Of course, at home, your road games aren't that far. It's such a big deal to have those people there in person. It wasn't that long ago we were telling people to stay out of the gym. So just take a moment to remind people to come back and support your guys in person.
Well, I guess what I would do is support us in person and then watch Zaleski Sports on your phone while you're there in person. Then you support too. And I appreciate what you guys do. And you know, we really appreciate it. But yeah, please come out. The guys love big crowds and they appreciate the energy. You know, relatives that can't make it appreciate Zaleski Sports, you know, grandparents and uncles from distances and all that stuff. And of course, everybody knows me inside and out because they just watch all your games. So they don't have to get game film from me. But anyway, I appreciate what you guys do, and we appreciate our community and our support. And we'll have a nice group of kids here to come out and watch us play.
Well, Coach, thank you for the kind words. For us, it's more fun when the people are in the gym. So we want them in the gym too. Coach Curt Schmidt, Stratford Tigers basketball, best of luck this year.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.